Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to today's webinar on the topic Virtual Classroom Platform, a comparison. Thanks for joining us today. So let me start the session with a quick introduction first. Myself Shashank here, and I lead digital marketing at 3E. Along with me on the speaker panel, we have Mr. Anmol Prakash. So Anmol is our VP Operations. So before I pass it over to the speaker panel, let me give you a quick intro about 3E Software Solutions. We are a technology company providing e-learning solutions to training, education, and corporate industries. We are specialized in designing and developing full-fledged e-learning ecosystems. For example, LMS and e-commerce for training businesses, LMS and virtual classroom for academia and training, and LMS and ERP for corporates. Well, that is a very brief one-minute kind of intro of what we are. So Anmol will lead today's webinar, and he will walk us through the comparison between different virtual classroom platforms. What are the pros and cons of virtual classroom platforms? What will be the cost comparison of each platform? And infrastructure requirement details. So as the session goes on, you may post your queries over to me or Viresh over the private chat, and we will take up your queries at the end of the session. So that's it to set the quick pace for the session. Anmol, now it is over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Shashank. Hello everyone. So, as Shashank mentioned, we are going to look at the virtual classroom platforms which are available out there in the market, and we try to compare the popular ones over here. So, we have tried to basically narrow down on the most popular one. In fact, these are the ones for which we get a lot of queries or inquiries about the integration. So sometimes people will want to integrate it with Moodle LMS, or sometimes they would like to integrate it with WooCommerce platform directly. So these are the five main popular virtual classroom options we'll try to cover up, and we'll see what are the features, what are the unique features as part of them. Okay, and we'll try to understand how their costing works. Okay, so before we proceed further, we'll be using some terminologies like WebRTC, LTI compliant, on-premise solution, breakout rooms. I just wanted to give a quick overview about these terminologies so that everyone understands what it is. Okay, so talking about the WebRTC, it's an open source project which was started by Google, and now it is supported by Google, Apple, Microsoft, Mozilla, and Opera out there. Okay, so it basically allows you to build softwares or build web pages from where you can access the audio and video communication. Okay, so you can enable audio and video communication through a web page itself. So that's what it basically facilitates at a high level. So, and another benefit of WebRTC based technology is that you don't need to install any application, or you don't require any native plugins to be installed on your desktop or be it on your phone to enable the communication or enable the real time communication. So that's about a quick brief about WebRTC. Coming to the LTI compliant, basically LTI is a specification which is widely used in education technology. Okay, so it basically is a standard. It basically allows you, or it provides a standard methods to communicate with external systems. Suppose if you're we can take an example here as LMS. One LMS is there, and then there is a assessment system. Okay, so assessment system and both LMS, if they are LTI compliant, so it becomes very easy to enable the integration, and the data between these two systems can be easily transferred from one system to another. So, for example, if we have to talk about the data which needs to be transferred from the LMS to an assessment system, it will be mainly about the data related to the user information, the person or the learner who is um, uh, taking the examination or taking the assessment. So that information needs to flow out of the LMS. And talking about the data which needs to flow back to the LMS would be the outcomes or the results uh, from the from the assessment system. So if the two systems are compliant with LTI, it becomes easy to integrate them, and it basically allows you to use the authentication methods like OAuth, OpenID, or JWT based authentication to easily call up the methods which are defined or specified in the LTI compliance. So now what is the on-premise solution? So on-premise solution is basically um, we can it can be considered as a physical servers which you have. Okay, it need not be there within your organization only. It can still exist uh, under the infrastructure which you might have purchased from your vendor on the cloud. So it could be some infrastructure which you might have purchased on AWS or Azure. But the overall idea here is the control of the infrastructure is with our organization. So if, let's say, you own the control of the infrastructure, then that can be called as an on-premise solution. Talking about the breakout rooms. So breakout rooms is one of the unique feature which we have seen in some of these virtual classroom platforms, which we are going to see actually. Um, it has been really effective when it comes to colleges and universities or schools, where usually faculties would like to split the group of a bigger group into a number of small groups. Okay, so where these smaller groups can conduct some group discussion, or they can collaborate on a particular topic and then come back with their conclusions and probably present that in the virtual classroom itself. Okay, so this is one of the unique features which is very useful, as I said, mostly on in the academic institutions. So let's start with Zoom. I think everyone here must be aware about Zoom because this gained a lot of popularity when the world was hit by COVID-19, and their solution has emerged as one of the most popular software out there. Okay, so it's again a WebRTC based technology, but they have native apps as well. They have apps for Android and iOS, which you can make use of on your mobile devices. So it's a cloud-based solution. That means all the recordings and all the processing of the recordings, everything happens on their on the Zoom's cloud. So basically, the infrastructure is not in under your control; it's under their control. No, so since it is a SaaS model, SaaS-based solution, you don't require a server over here. Okay, you just need to basically subscribe from them, and based on the user license and number of host licenses which you're purchasing, they will charge you for that. So capacity is the max capacity here is up to 1,000 participants with 49 video sharing in paid plan. So, and the cost of platform, basically it has the option for both free and paid, but free has a limitation that it can go up to only 40 minutes. So if there is one too many, conference you're conducting. If it is one to one, then you can have a unlimited plan. But yes, if there are more than two people, then it basically limits your meeting at 40 minutes. Some of the unique features that it has is a virtual background, so high definition audio and video sharing. It has got mobile app, as I mentioned. Okay, so uh, streamline Canary services, but basically it has got the integration available with Google and MS Outlook, so you can directly share the meeting invite over Google or Outlook. So private and public chat is also available, and built-in recording and transcriptions are also available as part of Zoom meeting. So talking about the MS Teams or the Microsoft Teams, it's again a WebRTC based technology. They have also got mobile application for both Android and iOS, and they are using Azure Cloud, and they have intensive they have extensively used Microsoft innovations over there, and they're leveraging Azure Cloud to run this MS Team solution. Again, it is also a SaaS-based model, and uh, it doesn't require your own infrastructure and don't need to manage the infrastructure. Yes, the control is something which will be there with Microsoft. But if you have a Microsoft 365 license, then yes, you can. The the way they provision the servers also for this is basically it will be against your Microsoft license only. So that's about the uh, how basically they provision. So yes, there is bit of data separation here, but again the infrastructure is owned by Microsoft, and it's going to be on Azure. So for up to 250 participants, uh, you can it has the capacity of 250 participants, but yes, if you want to conduct some live event and where you want to host about 10,000 participants also, this can accommodate such kind of a heavy load in a single room, but you need to have a enterprise license from their side to support such load. So cost of platform, it is free for individual, but if you are a business or if you are an institution, then you will have to opt for the paid licenses. Okay, so otherwise uh, they may I mean, if they figure out, they may put some license counterfeit charges, or maybe some penalty might be also there. So that's about the Microsoft costing side. Otherwise, it is free for the individual use. So feature wise, one good thing here is it's completely integrated with Office 365. It has got Office 365 support. So basically, if you want to open any Office document as part of during the meeting, then it becomes very easy in Microsoft Teams, and you can. It has also got the recording options where you can store these recordings as part of your OneDrive storage. So other benefits here is that it has the bridge option as well. So if, let's say, someone who is uh, someone who is not able to access the desktop, or they are not available to the internet, so then they can directly make a call to a internet number, and they can join the meeting through phone. So that's one benefit of Microsoft Teams virtual classroom we have. So moving further, coming talking about the Google Classroom. Again, Google Classroom has emerged one of the very popularly used solution, especially with the educational institution. Um, they during the pandemic time, they actually made it free for all the educational institution, and recently now we have seen as they have actually now they are offering only for 30 days free. Again, you need to uh, go through a registration process, or basically you need to submit a request and prove that you are an institution, then only they will provide you this free license, 30 days free license. Otherwise, the pricing information earlier it was available, but now we have noticed that even the pricing information has been removed from their website, and it's now on the code basis. So talking about the solution, it's again cloud-based solution, and it's leveraging the Google Cloud services in the backend. So it doesn't require you to have your own server. Feature wise, this particular Google Classroom has got live whiteboard. So live whiteboard is very useful when it comes to teaching in education institutions. So that's why it gained the popularity during this pandemic time. So all the meetings which you record can be stored to Google Drive. That's one thing. And this was introduced recently. It was not there earlier. So schedule and join meeting from Outlook Calendar is basically it has got an integration with the Outlook Calendar, so that you can directly schedule a meeting and send invite to all your participants, or to all your contacts of Outlook. Also, this has got the functionality of conducting surveys. If let's say after the after the call you want to do a quality survey check, then you can just initiate a polling and or initiate a survey where participants will be able to provide the feedback, and you can use that feedback to improvise your learning content, or maybe overall the meeting quality in general. So that's about the Google Classroom. WizIQ, this has been there for a long time. They have been there in the business for a long time, and um, so basically their offering is advanced in terms of live whiteboard. Uh, so if compared to all the other live whiteboards which we have, uh, whether be it Google Classroom, or be it BigBlueButton also. So they have the most advanced live whiteboard, and they have the option to basically create your library as well. Suppose if you want to make use of certain content again and again, so you can just store it under their libraries, and you can make use of those content during your session. So that's one unique feature it has got. Polling is another thing, and uh, then they have option to record and download the recordings as well. So with some additional packages, in some additional package they have the option for white labeling and branding as well. Although they do not disclose the pricing for it, earlier they used to disclose the pricing, but now we see that they do not have the pricing information available. And they have several integrations available as well with some of the popular elements like Moodle, Canvas, Blackboard. Okay, so usually the plugins which will be there, that also will be chargeable, and since they have developed it, so the plugin itself will be chargeable along with the subscription cost usually. So they are also a cloud-based platform, and they have a WebRTC. They have used WebRTC-based technology to implement their solution, and it doesn't require your own server as such in case of his IQ. Coming to BigBlueButton, BigBlueButton is again a WebRTC-based technology. Is built on WebRTC-based technology, and it's an open source solution, and it requires your own infrastructure. So it doesn't have a per user based subscription model, because ultimately it depends upon what type of infrastructure you're providing to BigBlueButton to um, conduct your meetings, but or conduct your sessions. Okay, so in general, a minimum server which is recommended for BigBlueButton will support up to 150 participants. But yes, this can be scaled up to 1,000 plus participants. So depending upon your need, it can be scaled up even higher. And this is one open source solution which has gained uh, this is, I can say, the most popular open source solution out there, a virtual classroom solution, which has gained popularity in the pandemic. Not only the pandemic, in fact, before that, it has been widely used in the universities and colleges because of its features, which are meant specifically for uh, academic institutions. So, be it live whiteboard, be it breakout room, it is LTI compliant. Okay, it has got deep LMS integration. You can white label it, customize it. Okay, so all these are some of the unique features of BigBlueButton. So, because of which it has gained popularity and it's being now widely used. So if you look at the comparison matrix, considering with Moodle LMS integration, so and we'll also see which are the platforms here are LTI compliant, and whether they have the plugins available or not. Okay, so uh, I think this part we have already covered, whether they are on premise or cloud. Okay, so whether you can do the room management or not, whether you can do the recording the sessions or not. Okay, so these are the option. I mean, this is a matrix. So if you look at the BigBlueButton, it is LTI compliant. Compliant. It has got a plugin available from the community side for Moodle. It is on premise. Yes, you have the option for room management here. And if you take a recording through BigBlueButton, that recording will be available under the Moodle as well. Okay, so that's what it is suggesting. Talking about MS Teams, the integration works in a different way. It's not about the workflow is more about uh, uh, MS Teams to Moodle rather than Moodle to MS Teams. Basically, to launch uh, to launch an MS Teams meeting, uh, it is not directly possible from Moodle. Basically, you need to first launch the meeting and then access the Moodle within MS Teams. So that's how it works. So, but otherwise, if I talk about BigBlueButton, Zoom, or VisIQ, they work in such a way that you can add these you can add these um, uh, a virtual classroom as an activity inside your course. So those of you who are aware about Moodle, there are activities and resources in Moodle uh, which you can create. Okay, so when we talk about BigBlueButton, Zoom, and VisIQ, they can be added as an activity. But MS Teams is it works in a different way. So basically, launch the session first of MS Teams, and then you can access Moodle within it. So that's how it works. So talking about, so it's not actually LTI compliant. They have tried to make it look like as if it is LTI compliant, but it is not. So they have tried to achieve the integration in a different way. So that's why you cannot do a room management here with from Moodle side, although you can still have the recordings available. So Zoom, on the other hand, yes, it is LTI compliant. Moodle plugin availability is there. Okay, it's a cloud solution, room management. So basically, it covers most of the features. With IQ, it is also LTI compliant. It has got the Moodle plugin, but it's a paid one. Um, and it's a cloud based, as you already know. Room management is also possible, and recorded sessions can also be downloaded. Coming to the Google Classroom, it has not got an integration available. It doesn't have an integration available with Moodle. So as of now, if let's say anyone wants to conduct a Google Classroom through Moodle, they just need to they will have to just create the session and then copy the session link and paste it manually onto the Moodle site. It's not directly possible right now to launch the meeting directly from the Moodle LMS site. So that's why even if the recordings are taken, so that these recordings are not available directly inside Moodle. Somebody has to manually add it, manually add or share the recording links here. So, talking about the cost, this is the uh, information. This was the information which was gathered by our team. Again, these costs uh, may change or may vary because the pricing policy of these VC provider changes time to time. So this, I think, whenever this presentation was created at that time, whatever costing information was available, so we have tried to gather and consolidate here. Okay, so uh, about the free plan, if you talk about, yes, Zoom has a free plan, and there is a 40 minutes limit, as we mentioned. So group meeting is available, but as I mentioned, in MS Teams, it's for individual. It's not for the enterprises or for the institutions. It's not free. Okay, so VisIQ free plan is not available. Google Classroom is available, but now they have made it 30 days of trial only. Okay, so BigBlueButton, as of now, there is no, because it's infrastructure dependent. So the code is available, open source. It is open source, and anyone who has an infrastructure can install it. But yes, it will not be a free, because minimum, at a minimum, there will be some infrastructure cost which will be incurred. So if once you increase the number of participants, suppose if you want to handle up to 1,000 participants, so then what you will notice is even the pricing uh, these providers vary. So they have different price brackets, and they change their pricing accordingly. So it may cost around, as you see here, the Zoom may cost around 150 USD per user. Okay, so that's about Zoom. Then up to 300 participants at a cost of 9 USD per user per month. It will be for the Microsoft Teams. So VisIQ doesn't disclose any information. Google Classroom also doesn't disclose any information. And if we talk about BigBlueButton, so it will be mainly about the infrastructure cost. Okay, so we'll see what could be the infrastructure cost in the next page. So similarly for the 10,000 participants, so most of them, they do not have any plan. Okay, only Microsoft Teams have got some plans where they will charge you around 20 USD per user per month. So it will be licensed for each participant. So that's how the pricing is. So this is a comparison which was done some time back, and it's not the latest one. I can add this. I can just mention it. But yes, this is if you look at the uh, base, what we have tried to do here is we have tried to take a cost of for 250 participants, and for 250 participants, let's say there are some 100 hosts as well, which needs to be handled. Okay, so host in the sense it could be moderator. You can consider them as moderator or instructors. Okay, so that's how we have considered, and based on that, we have tried to come up with some cost consideration. So the what it may cost per year. Okay, so if it is about a subscription, then what it may cost per year. So MS Teams, when we calculated, it was coming around 6,000 USD for 100 user license with basic plan, and yes, participants can be some. It can be the guest participants also. It can be the participants within the organization also. So the 100 user licenses which we are saying is basically the host or the number of moderators which needs to be purchased here. Okay, so any institution or organization, like they may have on an average 50 to 100 100 faculties or 50 to 100 moderators. So based on that, we have calculated this, and it was coming to around 6,000 USD. As we mentioned, BigBlueButton doesn't have a subscription model, so here the cost won't be there. But yes, it will. The cost will be there for the infrastructure. We'll come to that. Zoom, then it can become very costly if, let's say, we if somebody is going to purchase 100 host account, okay, and each host can have 300 participants max. So participants wise, yes, the participants can be distributed. So if you're going for 100 license here, then it will cost around 24,000 USD per year. Talking about Google Meet, so earlier when their cost information was available for enterprise, this was I mean, it was calculated at that time, and based on that, it was coming to USD 12,000. Okay, and it was actually for only 10 faculties uh, and 250 students. So you can understand so how costly this can become, Google Meet or Google uh, Classroom. Okay, so with IQ, we didn't get much information from their site about what is the pricing. So we'll probably not consider with IQ here. So one-time cost, if setup cost, if we talk about, you don't have any one-time setup cost for Microsoft Teams. You don't have one-time setup cost for Zoom, and neither for Google Meet. But there is a one-time setup cost for Big Blue Button, because there can be two parts of it. One is the overall installation and charges. Suppose if you're going with some uh, third party uh, third party service provider, so that the services on an average, right, it is between 600 USD to 1000 USD, and sometimes your infrastructure vendor also may if you're, because it's about a setup of a dedicated server box. So usually when it is about setting up a dedicated server box, some of the vendors will charge you some initial setup fee. So considering all that cost, we have averaged it out, and we have arrived at this number. We can, and it was coming between 700 to 800. So that's what the number is. So that's about the one-time setup cost. Okay, and there will be a recording storage cost also. So if we talk about recording storage cost, you basically get 1 TB of OneDrive space per user here. If let's say one license you have taken, so here 1 TB of OneDrive space will be available. It will be made available to you. So now, if we are talking about Zoom, then they provide you 1 GB per host, and extra. recording space will be available for $40 per month. So per additional GB, they will charge you $40 per month. So overall, the cost, if let's say if you're creating a lot of recordings per day, so then the overall cost may shoot up. But again, if you directly uh, negotiate with Zoom, then they may provide you a better price here. So recordings here on the Google Meet side will be available only as part of the enterprise plan. With the recent changes, we do not have much information about because, as I mentioned, this comparison was created when we had the information of the pricing from Google side, but now they have removed it on their uh, website. Talking about BigBlueButton, yes, you can add as much storage as you want. We have considered this 1 TB SSD and 1 TB storage box for our cost calculation over here. So, if let's say we are talking about infrastructure cost per year, so considering 116 GB RAM, 8 core processor, and 1 TB SSD, and Intel i7 processor. So, of course, this infrastructure will be applicable only to BigBlueButton and not to anyone else, because others are all cloud platforms, and here with BigBlueButton you will require an infrastructure. So this cost, if you're going ahead with the server provider or dedicated server box, then it will cost you around 720 USD per per year. Yes. Talking about the annual maintenance cost, the maintenance cost of Microsoft is included in the subscription cost. For in fact, for all the other platforms except the BigBlueButton, the maintenance cost is included as part of the um, subscription cost itself. But when it comes to BigBlueButton, since the maintenance has to be either the maintenance has to be handled the uh, by the organization, or it has to be outsourced. So if you're outsourcing with us, our annual maintenance charges will be somewhere between uh, 2000 USD for handling one server of BigBlueButton. So that's about a cost comparison. So you can uh, probably make a decision of your own. So depending upon what suits best for you. Again, it's not that everyone uh, on-premise solution will make sense. Yes, it makes sense to go with cloud-based solutions as well, but the overall once your overall requirement increases, then the overall cost difference also will be larger when it comes to cloud providers. So the conclusion here, that's what I would like to conclude here is so based on your short term and long term objectives, you can weigh the technical and cost factors. So depending upon what technical abilities your team has got, and whether they are capable of managing the on-premise infrastructure, like on-premise infrastructure for the blue button like solution, or does it make sense to go with a cloud provider because the team might be small and you may not incur a large amount of cost even if you go for the licenses of all these cloud providers. So yes, again, these decisions can be made and depending upon, as I mentioned, what is your short term and long term objectives, weighing in both technical and cost factors. So one important factor here is the LTI compatibility. If you're looking out to integrate these solutions with one of your LMS or one of your solution which you have developed, so do check for the LTI compatibility, whether your solution, the system supports LTI or not, and whether these virtual classroom virtual classroom platforms supports LTI or not. It makes the life very easy to if both the platforms support LTI, and the integration can be done very quickly. I believe we can take up the questions if there are any. So, okay. One question here is which platform would three prefer to go with for 500 concurrent users? Okay, so here we have been working with. It's not like um, we are biased towards any particular solution here. We have been working with our customers to integrate. If there is a need, we have tried to integrate Zoom. We have tried to integrate MS Teams. We have tried to explore different options here. Okay, so. But if you're talking about 500 concurrent users, so I believe it's a large number first of all. Okay, so and you also need to consider how many sessions you want to run in parallel. Okay, so it's not only about answering based on the concurrent user. It's also about how many parallel sessions you want to run, because so, if you have seen the cost comparison, okay, so the cost comparison is not done always on the basis of participants, total number of participants. So sometimes there will be limitations with respect to max participants, but they charge you based on the total number of hosts or the total number of moderator licenses which you are taking in most of the cloud platforms. Yes, when it comes to BigBlueButton, then in that case, you just need to worry about the infrastructure part, and there also with BigBlueButton, we mentioned that uh, don't have more than 150 participants in one single session. So if you want to run multiple sessions and then arrive at the number as 500 concurrent users, then that's a different thing. But even with big button, there is a limitation that one session cannot handle more than 150 participants right now. So there are certain limits, but yes, if you ask our choice, we are, of course, since we prefer to go with open source solution, so we have been working with open source solution. So our default choice would be to go with the Big Blue Button. So another question here is there a live whiteboard option available in Zoom meetings? Um, I don't think so. Recently, if they have introduced, then we haven't checked it. But as per my knowledge, it's not available. So live whiteboard functionality is not available in Zoom meetings. Can we integrate MS Team with Moodle LMS? As I mentioned, there is already an integration available. The only thing is the integration works in a different way. It basically activates Moodle LMS, or it accesses Moodle LMS from MS Teams rather than the other way. So you cannot launch a meeting directly from Moodle. Instead of that, you first need to launch Microsoft Teams, and then in that you can access Moodle. But yes, there is a single sign-on available there. So from whichever user you are logged in on the MS Teams side, the same user will be logged in on the Moodle LM side as well. What about the cost of team live events? This information we haven't been able to get, because it was meant for enterprise, so they haven't disclosed any information regarding this. But if let's say if I have more information on this, I'll probably uh, our team will get back to you and provide this information. Another question is why was GoToMeeting webinar and WebEx not included, please? Thanks. Yes. So we have a focus. We had focus mainly on the uh, tools which actually gain popularity in terms of education institutions. Okay, because uh, we are a company who's working or building e-learning solutions. So usually the uh, the platforms which we come across from day to day. Okay, so these are the major platforms, the my five platforms which are listed down today. Okay, so yes, of course, GoToMeetings, webinar, and the WebEx, they have been into the business even I think before these platforms, but uh, they're meant mainly for business meetings. So we have tried to cover the platforms which actually are meeting today's needs in every domain, not only the corporates. So that's one reason I can right now tell you that why we have gone with these five platforms currently. So another question here is, are all platforms capable of creating transcripts inbuilt in them? Mm, not exactly. So definitely not Big Blue Button, and that's where our team is working towards. Our team is working towards creating or developing a solution which can help add the transcripts to the recorded sessions. So later on, if let's say those recorded session needs to be distributed in different region where there is a linguistic variation, then based on the language which is spoken locally, the transcripts can be created and can be added as part of the video. So we are working on a solution there, and hopefully we'll find success over there. So about the uh, other platforms, some of the platforms here do support, uh, like I've mentioning that the transcripts are supported on the in Zoom side. The transcripts are supported. So others, they haven't. We may have to further check on it and deeply check on the transcripts part. But yes, those wherever we could get the information that okay, the platform supports transcripts, we have been able to add it. But yes, we can find more information regarding this specifically, whether the transcripts are supported or not, and we can probably add it back, or we can circle back with you on this information. So another question is, has Zoom been cleared in those lawsuits about privacy? Other lawsuits over there were several lawsuits. Yes, true. About the privacy part, they have done a lot of security fixes. And earlier, the major privacy issue was that anyone can join a Zoom meeting link anonymously. I mean, anyone can join as an anonymous user without even disclosing their name, and they can steal the information if let's say any meeting is going on, some content is they can steal the information from that meeting. So that was the major concern. Now they have introduced security layer. They have actually released a lot of security patches, and uh, security bug fixes has been done. So yeah, about the lawsuits, whether it's still there or not, that part I don't think I have the information about it right now. But I can tell you, yes, there have been a lot of security patches which has been released by Zoom, and they have tried to make their solution more secure. Okay, so I think hope this session was helpful. There is no more questions now. So we'll try to conduct such sessions. We'll try to improvise the content also as part of these sessions in the coming webinars. So thanks for uh, joining us today. Shashank, it's all over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Anmol, for the great presentation. So this concludes the webinar. For the next week, we will be conducting another webinar on the topic BigBlueButton session on BigBlueButton. So over there, we will do a public demo of how BigBlueButton works, what is the capacity planning, and what are the features and functionality included in the BigBlueButton. So the registration link is shared over the public chat. We will share the registration link over the email to all participants again. Okay, so thank you all for attending. We hope you have learned and enjoyed the presentation. We will close the session now. Thank you.
Thanks.